All right, and we are live. What is going on, my specialist SPC here, and welcome back to another episode of the Midwest Horror Central podcast. As usual, I've got my co-host Ethan here with me today.
Hi, guys. Thank God it wasn't too long.
That's right. And today, we got ourselves a very special guest, another great YouTuber coming to the channel for the very first time. Huge horror lover, huge Halloween fan, and our very first guest ever here on this podcast. Please say hello to Braden Timmons.
What's up, everyone? How you guys doing? Thank you both, Austin and Ethan, for having me here on the show. Like you guys said, love horror. You guys love horror. I think we're gonna have a fun time tonight.
Yep. We all scream for ice cream, so. So yeah, no, it'll be a good time.
So as you guys obviously see by the title, today we are going to be talking about the Halloween franchise. We're going to be talking about it as a whole. We're going to probably throw in some fan film stuff. We're just going to sit here and whatever comes to mind is what we're going to talk about. So,
I just thought of one fan film that I'll bring up that we'll get to that when we get there, but I have probably a couple. So
all right. So, Braden, let's start off with you since you are the guest. What is kind of your history with the Halloween franchise? How did you get into it?
So my history with Halloween is actually pretty interesting because, like, as much as I love Halloween, and actually, like, like how sometimes, like, when you talk to horror lovers, like, the first slasher that they saw tends to be like their favorite slasher. Like with Halloween, I actually had seen A Nightmare on Elm Street. I had seen Friday the 13th. I had never seen a Halloween movie until I was like, I watched all these around the time I was in second grade, like on AMC Fear Fest. That was like the only thing that my parents would allow me to watch, like, because it had a lot of the stuff cut out. But Michael Myers, the first Halloween movie I saw was Halloween 2, actually. And there was just something about Michael Myers that scared the holy hell out of me. I think it's funny that the first Friday film I saw too was also part 2. So it's like I just started out with the sequels and then I went back and watched like the originals. But after watching Halloween 2, like, my dad had told me that was part 2 of, like, a franchise. And I was just so eager to watch the first one. Like, just something about Michael Myers. Like, he scared me, but I also loved that. Like, I was like that weird second grade kid that just loved to be scared by everything.
So your dad basically kind of said, "Oh, you think this is bad? There's more."
Yeah, right. Exactly. And then it's like, so I watched the first Halloween then that same year. And like, my dad actually called me down, like, I was upstairs working on, homework, and I brought my homework downstairs, and my dad was like, "Braden, this is like Halloween. This is like the first part of that other movie you watched that you liked." And I was like, okay. So I watched it and I loved it, man. Like, but I was also terrified by it. Like, Michael Myers, the reason I love him so much is because he is like the horror icon that just scared the hell out of me as a kid. And I just found him to be incredibly creepy. Like, I went to bed that night and I just heard, like, I felt like his breathing, like, was like in my closet. Like, he was just watching me, or like, I'd be walking home from school, and after seeing like Laurie, in Halloween, see Myers over by the bushes, and then him like, walking away and then disappearing. I always thought walking home from school that I was just going to see somebody, standing in that costume. Like, we had a lot of bushes and a lot of areas that could have happened in the neighborhood I was in. Or I would always think that I was like Tommy Doyle and Myers would be like following me like by the school grounds and everything. And, I don't know, it just really like creeped the hell out of me. And, for some reason I love that. And Myers just slowly became, my favorite. And then I started being him for like Halloween. And, I was always like a different like slasher, like throughout elementary school. Like, I was like Michael Myers one year. After that, I was Jason, I was Ghostface, and then now consistently every single year, my go-to costume is dressing up as Michael Myers. Like, I just am pretty much like a new version of him every year. Like, I've got different masks that I wear. And I just, to this day, I love him, man. So that's kind of like my history as to how I got started with it. And it just kind of became a thing for me.
You definitely have the build for Michael Myers too, because I think he's supposed to be broad-shouldered and all that, which for me, that's how Michael Myers should look. It's just this big, brawny looking guy. The thing that always got me with Michael, though, is, and of course, this is from his mask, is just his eyes, how they're like black all the time. And you do get few glimpses of his eyes, but of course, they do that on purpose, where his eyes are supposed to be just black through the mask. And that, as a kid, always scared me with him. And just because he's just got that blank, expression. You don't know what he's expressing underneath that mask. And I think that's kind of what scared me with Jason, too, is that that hockey mask is just blank. Like, there's just nothing underneath it, or there's no emotion.
Yeah. Like, you just think, like, how are these guys, like, just able to, do this and have zero remorse for anything, And I think that the thing that specifically makes Michael Myers, like, even like creepier is just like you see him as that little boy in the original Halloween, right? Like, you see that shot of his parents coming home.
Yeah.
Like, Michael, boom, like, you see him as a kid. He looks like a cute, innocent kid.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I mean, like, he's got like but then it's like he's got a butcher knife in his hand, and it's just like, well, he's definitely not. And then, all those years later, he's just a normal looking guy. Like, he doesn't have, like, I think you hit it right on the head, Ethan. Like, you said that he's like just a normal looking dude. He's not that tall. I think like Nick Castle was like 5'9" or something like that.
Oh, I think I thought he was about 6 foot, 6'1", but it doesn't make a big difference. But I thought he was a big guy.
Oh, but, no, I think he was only like 5'9", if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, okay.
But that I could be wrong. I could have sworn that, but hey,
Oh, no, that's. Yeah.
But yeah, and just like how he just walks like a normal individual, but he also has that supernatural element to him.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing with about back, in the beginning scene after he just killed his sister, and he walks out the house and his parents take the clown mask off, and he just has this look of like, oh my God, what did I do? So you kind of think that in a way he's self-aware. He knows what he's doing. He knows what he is. But he just has that face of like, that's a person who doesn't think for themselves, kind of, which makes it even creepy, especially the part at the end where Laurie pulls his mask off and he kind of has that like, what the hell kind of look on his face. Like that is a dude that's what makes him so normal, is that it's just a guy that just is not thinking for himself, or is not fully aware of his surroundings. And it's just, and everyone laughs at Dr. Loomis because they poke fun of him for being the, oh, this guy's not so bad. No. Yeah, he is.
Right. But he is incredibly dangerous. I find it funny that, you bring up the fact that, we do see his face in the original Halloween, right?
Yep.
But nowadays people just don't like, or especially big horror fans, don't like, to even hint at seeing Myers' face. That's actually something that some people were talking about in the beginning of Halloween 2018, like how you can kind of like make out what he looks like, even though he didn't turn like fully around. But I think that a lot of people forget that we saw his face in the original Halloween. It was for like a brief second, but you can definitely make out like that is Michael Myers. Like that is his full face right there.
One Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
One little detail I loved about that unmasked scene where he's chained up outside, and they're, the reporters come in, hey, we got your mask, is right on the side here. You can tell he is blind in his left eye, and that's because Laurie poked his eye out in the first one with the coat hanger, and you can even see that in the brief set, the brief scene where he's unmasked, he's missing his left eye. And I love that they kept that detail after 40 years. They kept that little detail. I noticed it right away when I saw it. I'm like, yes, they kept that in. They made it look like where he actually only has one eye, whereas in the later installations, he perfectly has two eyes, especially when he gets both of them shot out, the second one. So,
yeah, the continuity of the franchise is honestly all over the place.
It is.
But I mean, I don't know, man. It's like people, like, they love different movies, like, and everything like that. Like, for example, I mean, this is probably a very unpopular opinion. I don't know how you guys feel about this. My favorite Halloween sequel is Halloween H2O. So, it's like, it's my favorite one, even though I know that the continuity is all off, like, with the mask. I know the continuity is all off with the fact that he has two eyes. There's just like a lot of stuff that, and even like going into like what we were talking about prior to the show, Like, you know, I liked your comment about what the idea could have been to keep Laurie's death included within, you know, the Thorn trilogy as well, right?
Yes.
Like it could have been the exact same thing. So I don't know if you have any, you know, thoughts, you know, on that.
Well, you know, the thing is, you got to remember in the sixth film too, they don't really, not the theater or not the director's cut, but then the final version, they don't really elaborate on the Thorn cult anymore. They make it to where, you know, they kind of make it think that the whole thing with Michael was just kind of like some scientific experiment gone wrong, and that, you know, he kind of turns on everybody in the hospital. So I think minus the director's cut, the final version, they got rid of the whole Thorn. I mean, some of it's in there, but then they kind of steer away from it near the climax, and they could have just taken like the final final theatrical cut and just put that into H2O. Whereas, you know, the Thorn cult doesn't really need to be too elaborated on, because, you know, Loomis is dead. Wynn is dead. Nothing can control Michael. So he's basically just out on his own, and he's finding his sister. And the only thing that wouldn't fall into that continuity is how he knows his sister's alive. But I guess, you know, it's Michael Myers. You don't really need to know. He just knows. You don't know what's going around in his brain.
Right. I mean, like, the thing that maybe there could have been, like, you know, a broadcast. I don't know, like, really, like, how they could have connected that to what would have been Halloween H2O.
Right.
I mean, maybe there could have been something at the end to, like, where, like, Myers hears something about Laurie Strode, like, being, like, you know, alive in Summer Glen, like, kind of like hinting at, okay, like, something else is coming, like, in Halloween H2O. But again, I'm not really sure. Like, I'd have to, like, really kind of sit down and, like, really pinpoint an idea as to what would have made sense, like, or what would have made the most sense for, you know, that to kind of tie in to everything. But
right.
yeah, I do feel like that also opened up the idea to, you know, we've seen this, like, the retconning of movies before with Halloween H2O, how it retconned 4, 5, and 6, and only picked up after Halloween and Halloween 2. And now we saw it again with Halloween 2018, how it retconned every movie in the franchise and picked up right after the original, which I thought was very ballsy to do. I'm not going to lie. But I think that they've done a relatively solid job so far with that.
Right. Yeah, no, I totally agree. With my opinion before the show, I just wish they had added, they should have had it to where, like, after 2018 should have taken place after Halloween 2 with the whole hospital scene, and Loomis actually died in the hospital. And, you know, but Laurie, in the back of her head, she knows that despite that fire that he's still alive. But then again, you know, that, I guess, thinking back at it though, I guess it does kind of make sense that 2018 does take place only after the first one, because once again, the unmasking scene, he's not burned at all. So then it kind of explains, well, how the heck is his skin intact?
Yeah. And then, like, with the one thing that I will say that I didn't like with, like, the whole Halloween, you know, 2018 story is, like, that they made Michael, I mean, they made it seem like, you know, if you had seen every single Halloween movie, you know how crazy Michael Myers is, you know that he's this deranged serial killer, right? But because they decided to go after the first movie, Michael Myers only killed, what, 4 people, I think?
3 or 4, yeah.
Like, so it's like that was, like, one of the only things that, like, I had issues with. But also, like, the more I think about it, the more I'm like, okay, it makes sense, because like, it's like starting a fresh body count, a fresh trail of bodies, and it's just the characters, like, this guy is dangerous, and if you don't stop him, this is going to happen. And then that's exactly what happens. He leaves a trail of bodies throughout Haddonfield, and that's going to be even more done with Halloween Kills based off of that trailer that we got.
Yep.
So, you know, it's like, so this guy is dangerous, and that, so I can, like, swallow that, but I also didn't really like that going into Halloween 2018. I'm like, you know, deranged serial killer. I'm like, he's not a deranged serial killer. He killed 4 people. Like, I mean, come on, like,
he's not like Ted Bundy or something like that, you know.
Exactly. But, you know, like, I feel like that was just assuming that the audience had seen all the other Halloween movies. Then you're like, okay, you know that this is going to get crazy, right? You know how crazy Michael Myers is. So that's like one thing that you can, I guess, pinpoint about it if you really want to get nitpicky. But I also, again, see like that they wanted to start a new trail of bodies. And now going into Halloween Kills, it's like, okay, we see the damage that Michael Myers can do. And now we're going to see even more damage that he can do. So,
right. I guess, yeah, they kind of just made, so I guess in a way, Laurie Strode is mostly paranoid because she's seen what the audience is seeing. So she's,
yeah.
so she's like, you know, yeah, I guess I'm just not going off of the first film. We're just going to go off of every other movie because I've, you know, that's just a joke.
It's like I've said from day one since they announced Halloween 2018. Like, what sounds way more deranged? Him killing like 3 or 4 people, or him killing about 17 people?
Yeah.
Like, to me, that's the one thing I don't like about Halloween 2018. Really, is Laurie Strode. Like, the acting from Jamie Lee Curtis, awesome. She definitely does what she can for the role, but that's always just been something that's bothered me. I mean, yeah, her friends have gotten killed, but it's been 40 years. Now I could see this being Laurie from like H2O if they wanted to like continue that whole like storyline if they wanted to. But at the same time, I've always looked at Halloween. You could always do it like maybe every like 20 years. Michael would come back. They could have done that whole anthology thing they wanted to do originally. Yeah, like every 20 years, like, okay, yeah, Myers is back and he's back to kill more people or something.
Well, and like you said, Austin, they could have made it to where in 2018, you could have taken out the paranoia factor with Laurie. Like, she could have went back to living just a regular, normal life because, you know, the wounds have healed by that point, 40 years later. But every time she passes by the Myers house, she's kind of given that grim reminder of what happened 40 years ago. I mean, that never goes away. But for the most part, she's not paranoid. She's moved on with life, and Michael's not even a concern anymore. That's kind of the character I wanted out of this Laurie Strode in Halloween 2018. But I still loved it regardless for what it was.
Exactly. And like I had like my own kind of version of what I would have wanted out of 2018. Like, I wanted to see Laurie maybe have like Strode Realty. Like, she's running that now with her daughter. Yep. Obviously her granddaughter's at school, and yeah, it'd be the same thing. Goes by the Myers house, reminded of everything that happened back in 1978.
Right.
And then the rest of the events just end up happening.
Yep. So,
that's just my thoughts on that one.
Well, you're wrong.
Sorry.
No, hey, I definitely agree, you know, with what you were saying, like in terms of like, I think that Halloween H2O handled Laurie Strode's emotion a little bit better, even though hats off, I love Jamie Lee Curtis's performance in Halloween 2018. I will never not say that that's not a absolutely outstanding performance by her.
Well, they kind of turned her into like a Sarah Connor kind of character.
Yeah, I imagine that probably was the pitch, like when they went in and they were like, "You seen Terminator 2? Okay, this is what we want to do with Laurie Strode." So, you know, like, so, I mean, she was great, right? And she's definitely paranoid. And I understand that, you know, yes, Michael Myers did kill her, you know, friends, but you know, you also have to think that yes, Michael also got captured. He was locked up. She, I feel like, could have moved on with her life, or could have at least tried to. But I also understand the paranoia that they were going with, you know, like you watch the film play out. I mean, I love the setup with her and her daughter, how like it affected their relationship, you know, like how she was like that psycho mother, and, you know, Karen like had to go through all that as a child, like how she like learned to shoot a gun when she was 8.
Yes.
Like, I mean, I love that entire setup. I do feel like that a character that was not necessary to Halloween 2018 was Allison. And as much as I love Andi Matichak, I thought that she was great in the movie. I feel like that there were scenes that they could have replaced her scenes with more Laurie Strode elements, you know, to the structure. But gosh, sorry about that. What do you call it? I feel like that there are scenes that they could have replaced Allison's stuff like with more Laurie Strode elements. That's just my personal opinion. I do also know that her character is going to have a lot more to do in Halloween Kills. I'm talking about Allison. She's going to have a lot more like of an integral role to play. So that I'm excited for, but I do feel like that with 2018. I feel like that high school dance stuff was completely unnecessary.
It didn't need to happen.
Exactly. I just feel like that whole scene, if you actually sit down and watch the movie, that whole scene exists simply so she can end up without a cell phone. And that's it.
Well, I think it kind of, in a sense, yeah, it wasn't necessary, but I think what they were trying to get out there was that, you know, she's still part of Michael's family. So that's kind of like, well, you know, Laurie's multiplied over the years. So, you know, that kind of leaves Michael more, oh, well, I got more blood to kill. You know, I think that's probably what they wanted to kind of highlight with her, just with Allison a little bit, was that, well, there's more family for me to take care of.
Yeah, I could see that. I also don't think, because Michael didn't even remember Laurie Strode. So there's no way when, like, I mean, of course, because we know the setup, like with those characters, Allison knows that that's Michael Myers, like when she sees him, right?
Yeah.
Like when she sees Oscar's body hanging on the fence, which is definitely one of my favorite kills of Halloween 2018.
That was brutal.
Oh, yeah.
Thought that was awesome. Like how they had like the spike hanging like through his mouth. That was really cool.
Yep.
But I know that Allison knew that was Michael Myers, right? But Michael Myers didn't know who that was. He had no idea that was Laurie Strode's granddaughter, or anything like that.
Yeah.
So, you know, I do feel like that was definitely something. Like Laurie was looking for Michael. And I hope that there's actually I hope that there's some of that in Halloween Kills. Like, I hope that someone's maybe able to explain that to Laurie. I don't know how they would do it, but yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I hope they do kind of do that. And like you said, I hope that they make Laurie a lot more kind of badass-ish. What I loved about Halloween 2018 is that they reverse the role of like Laurie falls off the balcony, Michael looks over and she's gone. How they played that role. They reverse that, and I instantly went, yes.
Yep, I did like that a lot, and I was just thinking in my head what Myers was thinking, and like he was probably just like, so that's what that feels like.
Like he pulls off his mask just to say that one sentence. So that's what that feels like.
Right.
Puts it on.
So that's what that's like when you're just able to like look away and look back, and she's gone. Like, you know,
right?
That or he's just looking down. He's like, I deserve that. I really do.
So did you have a question, Austin, or can I ask mine?
Yeah, go ahead.
Who was your least favorite Michael Myers actor? Or I guess pertaining to both actor or, you know, character, depending on the movie.
Least favorite Myers actor. So the guy that just played Michael Myers?
Yes.
I probably have to say Halloween 5s. I know that he has a pretty long
Don Shanks.
Yeah, Don Shanks. There you go.
Yep.
Yeah, Don Shanks was my least favorite. I didn't really. I mean, it could also mostly be because of the mask. You know, I think that the Halloween 5 mask is absolutely horrible.
It was very feminine looking.
Yeah. So I just think that there were some elements that I really liked. There are some elements that I did not like about there's a lot of elements I didn't like about Halloween 5. But I just thought that the way he moved was a little too, I thought that he was very stiff. You know what I mean? I feel like that he was too stiff. Like Myers, I feel like that he, you know, just like walks and he's like coordinated. Like when he walks, like I just feel like that he's able to get out of the way. I feel like that there's none of that in Halloween 5. Myers, I just feel like, is out in the open a lot. Like he's over by trees, and then it's like he just kind of like comes out. Like, yeah, he'll come out from behind, like, you know, a shop, and he'll kill somebody, which is obviously cool. But I just feel like that I just feel like that he's a very stiff Myers. But that's just personally me.
Well, what I give Don Shanks credit for is he definitely had the build. Like he's a very big dude, and that's kind of how I look at Michael. Somebody made a comment though many years ago on YouTube, and I don't remember. I think I was watching kind of like a kill compilation of Halloween 5, and somebody said that I hate the mask in the 5th one. It looks like Tim Allen on crack, and so I'm like, and ever since then I have not been able to like unsee it. But once again, there's that continuity error where why didn't they just use the mask from Halloween 4 and just put it into 5?
Yeah, the Mask of Halloween 4 has actually quite grown on me over the course of the years. I'm not gonna lie. Even though it is not the best looking mask, it's grown on me, and it's definitely immensely better than it is in Halloween 5. I also think that the reason behind that is because the mask, you can tell, looks completely different right in the beginning of Halloween 5.
Yep.
Like, after he crawls out of that hole and then he ends up in the river, and that's also another thing that I just hate so much about the beginning of Halloween 5. Where Myers like float down the river. Like, I hate it.
Well, you can clearly tell he's wounded, and I'm like, that's not how Michael would be. He would just get up and shrug that off, right?
Yeah, exactly. Like, he'd just get up and he wouldn't even acknowledge going through the water or anything like that. I don't think. Like, it's like the water just like takes him along, like, as he's trying to crawl out. So that's just me. I mean, Halloween 5, there are things that Don Shanks does that I like. There's a lot more that he does that I don't like. I do think Halloween 5 is some pretty cool Halloween kills. But overall, it's just not for me.
No, I'd probably say, now this is where my least favorite Michael Myers would probably have to be Dick Warlock.
Really?
Because, well, the reason why, and Austin disagrees, but I think he just was way too skinny as a Michael Myers. I don't know, because you go from Nick Castle, who's kind of more of a bulky guy, to like a very skinny Dick Warlock. And to me, he was kind of my least favorite Michael.
He's too robotic. That's all I can ever say about it. He's just too robotic. And there's the thing that bothers me the most about his portrayal. I don't know what it is, but it's that one scene where Laurie's going downstairs to get down to the elevator, and he's coming down the stairs with the little scalpel. It's just the look of the mask going up. It's hideous. I'm sorry.
I will say that scene when he's walking down the staircase, that is a very stiff looking Myers right there. I feel like that Myers would have been just like naturally walking down. Like, remember in Halloween 1978 how he like walked down the stairs?
Yeah, he was power walking.
Yeah, he was moving at a pretty rapid pace. I feel like that if like they replace that with what he was doing in 1978 or in Halloween 1970. I know that it was the same night, but I feel like that would have been much more effective. But I mean, that was probably also from a director standpoint. Like Rick Rosenthal probably told him, hey, walk down the stairs like this. But I do feel like that doesn't look like the same Michael Myers that was in the movie before, or literally hours before, if we want to get technical.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I wonder why they just didn't bring Nick Castle back to play. I wonder what he had going on at that time, because I mean, Halloween 2 only takes place, like, the movie takes place not within the movie, but the film only takes place like 3 years, came out like 3 years after the first one. So it's not that big of a time gap where Nick Castle couldn't do it.
I think Nick Castle was directing another movie. I think he was directing a movie, because I know that he wrote some scripts and he also directed some films. He might have been busy working on another movie. But then again, it's like after Nick Castle, it's like Nick Castle didn't take on the role again until 2018.
Right.
Until he has been in some scenes. Like, James Jude Courtney is obviously the guy that's like he's the man in the mask most of the movie.
Yep.
Who, by the way, is doing a fantastic job.
Yes.
With picking up Nick Castle's like pace. I do really like how Castle is with them on set and like, maybe giving him some tips and tricks because they want to make it seem like he's the same Michael Myers. But man, hats off to him from Halloween 2018, because he really mimicked. Like, it felt like the exact same Michael Myers, minus the fact that he looked a bit taller and lengthier than he did in 1978. Yeah. I'm like, yo, what have you guys been feeding Michael Myers, But other than that, I thought that, he did an absolutely great job with everything, specifically the walk. I always pinpoint, the walk of Michael Myers and like how, like, he is supposed to move and everything like that. That's just something that I always look at. But I thought that he did a great job.
Yeah, his walk was kind of more in the middle. It wasn't too fast. but it was also kind of that steady, like, almost like I got to go to the bathroom kind of walk. So
right.
they made it work really well with that walk. It wasn't so robotic like Halloween 2 or Halloween 5. But I was going to say but one thing I will give credit about Dick Warlock's Michael Myers is, despite moving that slow though, I mean, if you were in Laurie Strode's position, specifically in the parking lot scene where he comes out of behind that boiler and he starts walking towards her, I mean, and you were like, your legs were broken and you were crawling towards the hospital, maybe unrealistic to some, but just imagine like some weirdo in a mask walking towards you like that in real life. And you're like, oh my God. And it doesn't matter how the pace of the walk, you kind of pick that up as an imminent threat. So I guess in a way I will give that walk a little credit, but like I said, it's more of that continuity error where he goes from power walking to just moving really slow.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I will say though, that does follow one of my favorite like appearances of Michael Myers. And it's like, that's when she like runs right into the hallway of the hospital and like finds Marion Chambers, finds Dr. Loomis, and finds the officer. I do love what follows and how Myers just like busts through like the glass like it's nothing.
Yeah,
I personally really like that a lot. But I agree with what you're saying. It's like, he went from that stiff walk to now like, being able to haul ass across a parking lot, to get there really quickly.
Yeah.
So I get that.
The other thing I didn't like about Dick Warlock, especially the at the end of Halloween 2, where he's blind and he just starts swinging like blindly, no pun intended, with the scalpel. And I kind of thought that was a little silly, because I'm thinking if, Michael Myers, I'd imagine, gets shot in the eyes, but he can still kind of know where you are. He doesn't have to just keep doing this to try to get you.
The thing that bothers me about the ending of that is, how does he know like where the hallway is after he's in the room?
Oh yeah, I guess I never thought about that. Like maybe
I didn't until today. I was just watching something about Halloween 2, and I just thought about that. I was like, he just got shot in both of his eyes, and he just like was supposed to be dead, but he's walking in the middle of the hallway perfectly fine.
Yeah, there's a lot of things I realize watching these movies nowadays that you can literally, if you want to get technical, you can break down so many things that is like, I don't know, like, I don't know if that's like, if I buy that too much. But then again, with movies, you just got to shut off your brain. So that's what I normally do is I'm like, okay, I'm just going to shut off my brain and I'm all right. I accept it. You know what? That's it. It's Michael Myers, like he's got that supernatural ability, and like that's all I'll do to make sure that I don't nitpick it. But there is definitely a lot of stuff in the series that you can actually nitpick like that.
Right.
So.
And it's not even elaborated. I mean, I guess with the Curse of Thorn, but if you take that aspect out, even if he has supernatural abilities, it's something that fans could probably accept because it doesn't have to be elaborated on. You just know that he's got some kind of healing factor because he is evil incarnate. So why not? Evil doesn't die. So it's got to probably regenerate a little bit.
Exactly. And I think that we see that numerous times like that. Like he just fights right through his pain. Like, I mean, he got his freaking fingers blown off by Laurie Strode in 2018.
Yep.
And like the most he did is like he made like a grunt or something like that. Like, It's like walked it off like it was nothing.
Yeah. What's gonna bother me is if his fingers are intact in Halloween Kills.
I don't think they are. I do know that one thing that fans have, been saying is they're a little like how did Michael Myers get like a bandage around his finger? I honestly think that after he kills all those, because there are paramedics and stuff like that there too. Like there are the fire trucks and the paramedic. He might have just taken some bandages from the paramedic, like the truck, and just bandaged himself up. Like, I mean, I don't know. Like, I do know that's something that's like, well, how did he get the bandage? And I'm guessing it wasn't somebody that did it to him. Otherwise, they're dead.
Yeah. Well, and that's
I think that he did it himself.
That's what I hate about when people just watch the trailer and they just kind of assume the whole film. It's like, dude, wait till the film comes out and then make that assumption. Or, it's just people base it off of the trailer solely. It's like, you haven't seen the damn thing yet. Just wait.
Yeah. Yeah. That's definitely one thing that people can, do. And I don't know. Like, I'm curious to see how, I'm curious just like a lot of other people to see how that's going to play out. But who knows? All I know is Michael Myers looks like he's going to be going crazy in this movie. So that's what I'm looking forward to.
Going crazy?
Huh?
I said going crazy?
Yeah. Going insane, I should say. He's going full on boogeyman in this movie. How about that?
There we go.
Well, I can imagine that too, like him actually having like a psychotic breakdown from what he's actually doing. Like it's kind of finally catching up to him after 40 years. So that would make sense. Who's your least favorite Michael? Awesome.
It's honestly a tie. I would agree with Don Shanks because every time I watch Halloween 5, I watch the way he moves and stuff, because especially that scene where he's watching Rachel when he gets out, he's like awkwardly like trying to get underneath all the clothes and the hangers and everything, and he just like stumbles his way out of there. And the same thing too when he's watching Tina and her boyfriend and everything, and he's all like just moving everything. I can agree with the stiffness part. It's my second choice would probably be Chris Sarandon though. Or Chris Durant, that's his name, I think.
Was he the 7th or 8th?
H2O.
He was
H2O.
H2O. I think my biggest thing with him though is like how you see his eyes like all the time.
Yeah, I've noticed that. You can kind of see that with Dick Warlock's too. Like there's an instance of a close up where he's like tilting his head and you can see his eyes clear as day. That kind of kills it for me a little bit.
I guess my question, it's kind of related to what Ethan asked. Who's your guys' most underrated Michael Myers?
Tyler Mane.
Tyler Mane for you?
Well,
yeah, I can see that. I mean, from Halloween 2007 and Rob Zombie's Halloween. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could see that. I just thought he was too big. That's just me.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, actually, I take that back. I would probably say the underrated would probably be George Wilbur. Like he's probably my second favorite Michael Myers next to Nick Castle.
I gotta say, Eric Preston. It's Eric Preston from Halloween 4. I gotta say, he was the Halloween 4 one, right?
No,
that's George P. Wilbur too.
Was it George P. Wilbur?
Yep, and 4 and 6.
Yep.
Oh wow.
Played him twice.
I had my Myerses mixed up then. Yeah, George P. Wilbur from Halloween 4. It's been a long day, guys. Don't make fun of me.
it's okay, man.
Yeah, George P. Wilbur. I'd say I liked him as Michael Myers in Halloween 4 and in Halloween 6. I did think in Halloween 6 he did move a little fast when he was walking across the street. But like when he was like moving towards the Doyle's house, I thought that he was walking a little too quick. But I think that in Halloween 4, I feel like that he's got like just the right amount of movement for Myers. I love the scene with Brady, like when he's like, get up there, Rachel.
Oh, with the shotgun.
Yeah, with the shotgun. And like he like comes like walking around and he like, looks up. I don't know. I just love the way that he moves in it and how he just like, I feel like he's got such a good pace walking up the stairs in Halloween 4. And then when he like grabs the gun from Brady's hand, he just like drops it off the balcony.
Yeah, he's like, nope. Yeah. That's what I love too, is like he's walking up the stairs. Michael doesn't even care that he's about to get a hole blown in him by buckshot. He doesn't care.
Exactly. Or like, even when he kills what's her face, who the hell is Brady's other side piece in it's
Sheriff Meeker's daughter.
Yeah, Sheriff Meeker's daughter. God, what the hell is her name?
Is that the one where he like impales her with the shotgun?
Yes, I absolutely love that scene so much. Like I think that it's so well shot. Like how like she comes in with the coffee, like she thinks it's the police officer sitting in the chair, and then like Myers gets up and just freaking sticks the shotgun like right through her. I think that's absolutely awesome. It's the whole finale of Halloween 4 is one of my favorite finales in the entire franchise. I think that everything like with it, I'm a fan of, minus at the school with the white hair Michael Myers. Like,
the pink mask Myers.
Yeah. Oh my God. That just like, I'm like, dude, how did they not think? Again, that's another thing with continuity. It's like, how did you not think that people weren't going to recognize that? Like,
I'm trying to think pink mask Michael Myers.
When he's in the school and Loomis and Jamie are in there and he like bumps into Michael.
I don't remember him being pink man. Maybe I got to go watch that. I know which scene you're talking about, but I don't remember that distinctly. But I do agree with the Halloween 4 finale when Jamie becomes the like the new Michael Myers, but then they botched it in the 5th one. I forget what the reasoning for that. I think it's because they botched it in the 5th, that idea in the 5th one, because they didn't like the idea of having Michael as either kind of like an apprentice or Jamie being like an apprentice to Michael, or the fact that Jamie was just going to be the new Michael Myers and Michael finally died. So I think they kind of thought, well, you know what? We'll just, because Michael's kind of a solo man. We'll just have it to where Jamie has these effed up psychic abilities in the 5th movie where she can see everything that Michael sees.
Yeah, that's always been something that's bothered me about that too.
I'm gonna go back to this Michael Myers thing really quick. I know why I said Eric Preston, and it's because I knew he was Michael Myers in Halloween 4 for one little snippet, and it's because he played it was like when Jamie was looking in the reflection, he was the young Michael Myers in the mirror. That's why.
Yeah, yep.
Okay, like I was like, I know like that Eric. I was like, why did I think like, you know, that's why Eric Preston came right to my mind, because like I'm like, I knew he was in Halloween 4. I'm like, and I know he was Michael Myers, but he was just the young Michael Myers in the scene with Jamie looking in the mirror when it like transitioned to Myers looking back at her.
Yep.
Okay. Like, so that's why I'm like, okay, so yeah, he's not my favorite. George Wilbur is my favorite.
Well, see, that's where I'm
underrated. Sorry.
That's where I'm kind of poor on the child actors' names, because they had 2 different child actors play Michael in the 1st and 2nd movie. The kid at the very beginning, and then the kid in the asylum. Those were 2 different kids.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know why they did that, honestly. It just that's been one thing that's always bugged me too. Once again, it's just those continuity errors that it's like you want to ask, why'd you do this? But I don't know.
You know, man, I'm going to say this, and it might be a huge unpopular opinion. I think the most underrated Myers is the one from Resurrection. Minus everything that happens with him, with Busta Rhymes, minus all that. I actually think he's a pretty decent Myers.
I thought you liked Kane Hodder.
Shut up, Ethan.
I'm just kidding.
What do you call it? Yeah, Brad Lorry. No, I do actually like Brad Lorry as Myers. I think that he's got some good moves from Myers. Mm-hmm. But did you say he's your least favorite? I'm sorry.
He's to me, he's the most underrated.
Most underrated. Gotcha. No, yeah, Brad Lorry, he does a great job. I just can't get over the mask in that movie. I just can't. I can't deal with the mask in some of the scenes. Like there are some scenes. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
See, go ahead. I don't mind the mask. In all honesty, I really don't.
It's very similar to H2O. I think that's why. Probably.
Maybe.
But what were you going to say, Braden?
No, I was just going to say there are scenes that I think, you know, the mask actually looks like it's the scene. As much as I hate it, it's when Busta Rhymes is dressed as Michael Myers and he's walking through, the hallway.
Whoa, shit, man.
Yeah, he's like that whole scene. Like, I like the close up of Myers' mask in that scene. Like when he starts talking to him and then, you're getting Myers' reaction, even though it's just specifically close ups of it. I like how it looks there. And then there are scenes like in like the finale with Sarah. I feel like that she I just don't like the way that it looks in the fire and everything like that. But that's just me. That's my personal opinion. But then again, I can't really say anything because I'm a big fan of H2O's mask. So I can't say anything.
Right.
Oh, oops! I feel bad for saying that then.
Hey, man, it's okay. Mostly, I think the H2O mask has grown on me since, like we'll talk about fan films here like soon. But I think since like, I don't know if you've seen the mask that we're using for the Haddonfield Nightmare, but it is a weathered H2O mask that was custom made. And I think that it looks awesome. And going back, like, I think like since we've had that, done, I feel like that the H2O mask has just grown on me a lot more. See, it's like I wanted to make sure that we had the same continuity, like keeping the mask relevant, but it's kind of like Rob Zombie's mask.
Yeah, with how like messed up it is and stuff.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, Rob Zombie's mask was way too like torn up, especially in the second film where you can actually see like half of Michael's face. It just that part bugged me. That's why that movie got a lot of probably hatred from the mainstream media.
Yeah, and the fact that there's no Halloween theme in it until the end credits.
That is true. I just noticed that.
I don't even want to get started on Rob Zombie's Halloween.
No, tell us how you feel.
Best of the franchise.
Best of the franchise. That's what I want to hear. Malcolm McDowell was better than Donald Pleasance.
Oh, all right. Now we're pushing it here.
Oh man, you're saying some stuff that can get you in real trouble with the Halloween fandom.
That can get me banned on YouTube. I'm kidding.
So guys, here's the look of the mask for Braden's fan film coming out here very soon, which we're definitely got to get into.
Braden, I gotta say that is badass. The eyes are just perfect. Like the right eye or the left eye. I mean, it looks like it's kind of shedding like a black tear a little bit. It's definitely it's looked like it's been through. I love that Deadpool reaction on the right hand side, but. That is incredibly well done. So who made that?
So it's actually a UK based company. They're called Father Phantom Studio. They make some really, really awesome like horror replicas. Like they do like, head tops of like The Exorcist. They do all sorts of Michael Myers masks. And so I reached out to somebody who had a really, really authentic looking Halloween H2O mask. And I was like, dude, this is awesome. I told him what our project was and I asked him where he got it. And he reached back out to me and said that he got it from Father Phantom Studio. So he recommended me to them. And then I got in touch with them. I got in touch with one of the creators there, pitched them my idea for like, hey, we're doing this H2O sequel. And I wanted, because this takes place in the future, I didn't just want the mask to look, the same as it did. Like I kind of wanted to pull the 2018 route or the Rob Zombie 2007 route, like where if it takes place in the future, then the mask is going to look like all beat up and weathered, right? So I pitched them that idea. They loved it, and they said that they'd be happy to create it. I gave them full-on creative control with what they wanted to do design-wise, and they just updated me like throughout the process. Like I've got some pictures like of them working on it. They would send me some occasional updates and be like, "Hey, Braden, what do you think of this?" And like I told them I loved it to keep going and whatever. And then they sent me the finished product and I was just like, dude, this is freaking insanely awesome. Like, see on the poster, you can see like, it's got like the tear on the mouth, which I really like. That was a really cool touch to it. Really the entire mask and even in the hair, like in the back of the head, there are like some like rips like taken out of like his hair and stuff like that too. Which I really like as well.
So did I say that I hated the H2O mask? I take that back now.
No, I mean like there are people that have like actually like commented and they're like, dude, this is like they're like the H2O mask is growing on me, but it's not because of how it looks like, in that movie. It's because of how it looks in your upcoming, fan film. And it's obviously something that is really heartwarming knowing that it's like, this obviously took a lot of time on their end. I mean, Father Phantom could have just been like, absolutely not. We're not going to take the, time of day to do this. But, really, I got to give, I got to give kudos to them. I got to give kudos to everybody, like, because we're in post-production right now. I have to give kudos to everybody that, has supported the project, that like the cast and the crew, that have really dedicated their time to. I mean, I think you guys are going to see some really, really good performances throughout the course of the movie. So
I think so.
You just announced too today how long it was going to be, right?
Huh?
You announced how long the film was going to be. I think you said today.
Yep. So the cut as of today is actually officially done. So the cut's done. It clocks in right now without credits at 1 hour and 20 minutes.
Nice.
So it is a full on sequel to Halloween unofficial sequel to Halloween H2O.
But it does take place before Resurrection, though.
Yeah, this one actually retcons the events.
Oh, that's right.
In Resurrection. So Resurrection does not exist in this timeline. I do not like Resurrection, so that's the route I decided to take. I do have to say it was a very, very challenging task to come up with how Myers survived the end of H2O. But then when I pinpointed, I was like, I knew that had to be it. So
yeah, the thing that really that drove me crazy with Resurrection was that, and this to me was just silly, where Michael breaks into the asylum just to kill Laurie, but then you have the security guard wearing the classic clown mask because he's a hardcore Michael fan, and near the end, after he kills Laurie, he gives the guy his knife, and he just has like the most annoying voice. And you guys know who I'm talking about? He's like the
yeah.
Yep.
I'm like, wow, this is just already coming off as kind of a bad start. It just I couldn't take it seriously. I couldn't.
Dude, I mean the fact that Laurie was killed before the title credits even came up for Resurrection is honestly like, insane. And I honestly feel like that's such a slap in the face of the fans. Honestly, it would have been better off if she just wasn't even in it. And like maybe I honestly think Resurrection should have been the movie that continued John Tate's story. That's me.
Yep.
And honestly, like I think that he's a character that I've always wanted to see a story continued to. So I'm actually kind of excited that I have the opportunity to show my vision of John. And I do think that the guy that plays John in the movie, his name's Peter DeJuric. And he is honestly, he looks like he could be John Tate 22 years into the future, which is honestly what I was specifically looking for, somebody when we were casting that can resemble John. Like he was the last person we casted because I was the most picky with, how this actor was going to look. So,
Right. No, I totally understand. Yeah, that just by that poster though, that's I'm sure that's made fans go like, this is going to be like the next best thing ever.
Yeah, if you're not in the Facebook group, I would highly recommend joining the Facebook group, especially for some announcements we've got coming this week. If you have Facebook or if you have social media, we have an Instagram and everything like that too, so you can follow Haddonfield Nightmare Movie.
Braden, I'm too shy for that.
Can't tell if you're kidding.
It's both. No.
Yeah, man, that's seriously like exciting. Like seriously, I'm very happy for you, and the fact that
I'm happy for you too.
You're able to make your vision of what you would want Halloween to look like eventually.
Yeah, it's not an easy task. Again, like with the popularity of fan films, I'm just really happy to be able to contribute to a community like the horror and fan film community that is doing really well right now. And the horror community, the one thing I always say about the people within it is, for a genre that is like dark and disturbing and stuff like that, the people within is so awesome and they're so nice and they're just the most down-to-earth people you'll ever meet and have conversations with. That's one thing I really respect about everybody. So
and that's the stereotype I hate, when people are like, well, anybody who, and this is always kind of coming from the older generation, but they're always like, anyone who makes a horror film, they use the stereotype, they must be a Satanist or they must not be a good person. I'm like, are you kidding me? Usually people that make horror movies are like the friendliest people in the world, at least from my encounters,
Yeah, I mean, it's just people. It's just like any other type of movie. It's an idea. It's a dark idea, and you have to come up like with the way to kill somebody. But,
right.
The people within it, like I was even watching the behind the scenes stuff with Halloween 2018, and Danny McBride hit it right on the head. It's like, it's hard. Like you got to think it's hard to kill innocent people in a script. Like, because it's like normally if you're writing a script or a story and somebody dies, 90% of the time they deserve it in that type of story. But in a slasher movie, it's just like, somebody's in the wrong place in the wrong time. And then
Everybody goes.
Yeah, right. Jeff Fradley, who was one of the co-writers on 2018 as well, like he even was like, that's the fun of it. People are just going about their day and it's like they don't know what's going to happen. So you got to have fun while doing it, I guess.
Exactly. Now we'll get into fan films. I do want to ask one question. So, favorite kill from Michael Myers throughout the whole series. What was your guys' favorite?
Ooh.
I'll tell you mine right away. Was probably Jamie's death in the 6th one where he puts her through a shredder.
That was
good. That was.
That one hurts my soul to watch.
Well, I did like Jamie, but God, her death was just so badass. I can't. It's a kill.
It was the one I said earlier. It was Sheriff Meeker's daughter. The gun through the wall. I love that kill. I think that the whole scene is shot really well. I love her walking in and she lights the candle and then she sees the officer's dead body laying there. And then she notices, oh shit, that's not a police officer. And
his death was kind of effed up too, because his neck was like twisted 180 degrees. Like, ooh, even though you don't see it on screen, but still it's like, oh man, that's brutal.
Yeah.
I have a tie. Even you actually might be surprised with this one because you were there when it happened, but it's a tie between Dr. Sartain's death and Halloween 2018.
Oh God, yeah. Jeez.
That was a brutal one, and
I forgot about that.
I'd honestly say very close. This is the one that's going to surprise you the most because it's my least favorite Halloween of them all. But when Myers kills the hillbillies in H2 out in the middle of the forest or the cornfield or whatever in Rob Zombie's Halloween 2.
Oh, yeah.
That was brutal. I do gotta say, and especially I just didn't like the grunts on him when he killed the girl.
Yeah.
How you can hear the grunts in the background. Not a fan of that. But other than that, that was a really cool scene. Yeah, I agree.
Or even when he's killing the nurse in that film too. But again, yeah, the grunts are really kind of distracting.
I guess when he kills the nurse in the second one, where he picks her up by the scalpel in the back and then drops her, I guess that was kind of cool.
Yeah,
I like that one.
Oh yeah. And then there's also the one in Rob Zombie. I will say, as much as I don't like Rob Zombie's Halloween 2, I will say that the kills in it is insane.
Yeah.
I will also say the Octavia Spencer, the actress, the nurse in the beginning, when he freaking just completely butchers her. I think that is absolutely brutal. Again, don't like the grunts. I feel like if maybe they could have gotten away taking out the grunts and everything. But I do think that was insanely brutal. And that whole scene that follows, even Laurie Strode going down the stairwell, and you find the nurse hanging there with her eyes completely gouged out and everything. Mm-hmm. Just knowing that Myers was there, you're just like, oh shit. So
yeah, absolutely. I think that's probably the thing I don't like about Jason is that he grunts a lot when he kills people.
I don't think he does very much. I think it's really only in Jason Goes to Hell he does that.
Oh, I thought he did it in the 3rd and 4th as well, but
Jason Goes to Hell can suck it.
Amen.
That's all I gotta say.
Fuck you guys. That was my favorite film, and I will not take that. I am leaving.
Oh man, no, that's a rough one to get through.
I'm not even gonna lie, dude. Jason Goes to Hell, I swear to you, makes Jason Takes Manhattan look like a freaking masterpiece.
What about Jason X? That one was pretty bad too.
Yeah, again, Jason Takes Manhattan looks like a masterpiece compared to Jason X as well. So, But then again, okay, so I know this technically isn't about Friday the 13th, but I will say Jason Takes Manhattan, I have a fun time with it. I don't care what anybody says. I have a blast watching that movie. Love Kane Hodder in it. Think he's awesome as Jason. Don't like that he's slimy the entire movie. willing to get over it because I do have a great time, like, popping open some beers and watching that. It's awesome.
Yep.
Dude, that's how I feel with the New Blood. I love the New Blood. That's a fun one to watch.
New Blood is good too. Yeah, I do like New Blood. I like it more now than I did when I reviewed it. But I also know that have you guys been like following Roseblood, the fan film that's coming?
I haven't.
So that it's like a sequel to the New Blood, and they've got like a lot of the returning characters coming back. Like Tina's back, the actress that played her. The doctor's back. The guy that played Tina's love interest in the New Blood's also back. That was like a big reveal at the end of this last trailer that they just released. But it looks pretty solid. So Peter Anthony wrote and directed that.
Well, the New Blood, Jason's face, he looks a lot like the Crypt Keeper in that one. That's just what it reminded me of when I saw his face. Especially when it rips off and there's just a close-up and it's just a skeleton. It's like, oh, God.
Jason's had a very rough childhood, Ethan.
He has. Sex is bad. But anyway.
That's very bad.
Yeah.
So
what
what
was your question then, Ethan?
You
were going to talk about a fan film here.
Oh, well, it wasn't going to be I was going to discuss about that. So, I mean, it wasn't really a question. I was just going to talk about probably the first fan film I've seen, Halloween fan film I've seen is, Braden, have you seen that it came out in like 1996. This is really old. This is like pre-YouTube. Halloween, The Death of Michael Myers, and it's supposed to take place after The Curse of Michael Myers. It's a very cheesy looking film, but that's only because it came out in like 1996. Austin's seen it. He didn't like it. Personally, I liked it. It was just kind of mainly a bunch of kids in their late teens, early 20s, playing all the characters. Are you familiar with that one at all?
I'm not. I've seen the... Oh, the one I'm thinking of is The Last Halloween. I think that's from Blinky Productions. I have not seen The Death of Michael Myers.
Is the Last Halloween is where he's like sitting in a room by himself, and then I think he has like Dr. Loomis talking to him the whole time, and then he finally just dies.
Yeah, it's only like a couple minutes long.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
That one I'm familiar with too, but the one I'm talking about, you definitely can tell it was filmed from like a 90s camera, and it literally takes place like right after The Curse of Michael Myers, where it pans down to his mask, and then the next scene it shows Dr. Loomis actually shooting Michael without his mask on. He falls to the ground. Tommy comes back in because he's like, "Oh man, I got to go back for Dr. Loomis," and they're actually able to sedate Michael, put him back in the asylum, but he escapes again through the asylum. He killed a counselor, and then goes back to Haddonfield, hunts down. What's the baby's name?
Oh,
Judith.
No, that's his oldest sister.
Yeah, that's his oldest sister. Boo or whatever.
Something like that. That Tommy named him, and it kind of continues from there. And it was okay at the time because you got to imagine 1996. There wasn't anything as CGI really. It's just you kind of basically made a film and you just edited it to the best of your ability.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm looking at this right now. It's like split into like, I think 7 parts or something.
It is. Yep.
Like, yeah.
Yeah. It's back when YouTube only let you put in like 10-minute videos back then.
Honestly, what they should do is they should recut this together and upload it as a full movie. They should.
Yeah. But there were some glitches in that film too. For instance, the audio and the mouth sync didn't match up. So they actually did go back to that many years later. They finally fixed that, which that drove me absolutely insane. And they made it better. They also put in a few scenes that they cut out. They put in there. But for the time, and this was like before YouTube got really big with the fan films. So it was kind of basically when people saw that for the first time, you got a lot of comments saying, hey, good job, guys. Minus, Dr. Loomis looking kind of like crap, because it was basically just a kid wearing a bald cap and with a fake goatee on. It wasn't really convincing enough.
Right.
But I guess for at that time, and this was like 2005 when YouTube first came out.
Yeah. I was going to say, this company I'm looking right now, they actually did another fan film called Halloween Resurgence, which I've actually watched half of, which I didn't think that was bad. From what I had seen. So I'm looking at that and I'm like, I was wondering why that company sounded so familiar, but I didn't know that they did the death of Michael Myers.
They did. They did. They've been doing that. It's kind of weird. It's kind of amazing how long they've been doing that for 20 years, a little over 20 years.
Yeah, that's insane.
But what was my question? Why am I spacing out? Well, didn't you like that one too, Austin? Or what was your favorite, like before Braden's films? What was your favorite films?
I like Halloween Inferno. That one's pretty good. That one's pretty solid so far. That's the unofficial like Halloween Kills, I guess, before Halloween Kills is coming out.
Yeah.
I like Halloween Resurgence. I've watched that one. That one's not bad. And the thing of it is there are so many Halloween fan films out there. Like there's so many to watch. I don't even know which one I want to watch next because half of them are just so incredibly cheesy, just like the death of Michael Myers.
Well, let me tell you something. You don't want to watch any others besides Braden's. Okay?
That's fair.
Those are the only ones you want to watch. Okay?
I will actually throw a recommendation out there. There's two of them. Hold on, after this guy, douchebag.
He's come by your house like 3 times now.
Yeah, I don't know if it's the same guy or if it's a different guy. I got a lot of motorcycles around here, so I apologize for that.
That's okay.
But what do you call it? I will give 2 recommendations for Halloween fan films that are quite good. The first one is Halloween Night. I don't know if you guys have seen that one. Came out in 2020. Came out last year. They just the guys over at Thunder Knock Studios are outstanding. They're really great guys. You guys should definitely support them. So that's actually one of the first ones that pop up.
Yep.
Is that the one? Is that the one where Dr. Loomis is in it, and like at the very end, Michael gets arrested, and like Dr. Loomis is like, "You planned this the whole time."
No, won. This one follows Dr. Loomis's grandson, John Loomis. It's quite good. Highly recommend checking that out. It's definitely worth your time. It's only an hour long. Or I say only an hour. It's an hour long.
Well, it should be more.
Huh?
I said it should be more. It should be longer.
And then there's Happy Halloween, which is a Halloween Kills fan film. That's from Jimmy Champagne. Another great guy, another great YouTuber.
I've heard of him.
Halloween YouTuber. Yeah, he's awesome. That came out last year. That's only 13 and a half minutes, but it picks up right after Halloween 2018, and it shows Michael going through Haddonfield and doing some, stuff. I will say the opening like had my jaw on the ground. I actually did a reaction to it on my channel last year when it came out, and like literally the opening, just my jaw was like on the ground. Like I couldn't believe like what I was watching. So it was good though. It's really, really good. The audio, there are some audio stuff in it that could have been adjusted a bit, but for the most part, the way it's shot, and Vincent DeSanti, if you guys have seen Never Hike Alone, the fan films, plays Michael Myers in it. He does a great job.
Oh, that's the same guy? That's the same guy?
That did Never Hike Alone?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was a producer. Jimmy Champagne wrote and directed it. And then DeSanti is just playing Michael in the movie, and he just served as one of the producers. And that's it. So
mind blown. I did not know that at all.
Yeah, no, it's definitely 15 minutes worth of your time. That's for sure.
It's great. Now that I'm looking through here, I'd probably say another one I guess I would recommend is Halloween the Night He Came Back. It's from,
Dave McRae.
Yeah, I love Dave McRae. He has so many fan films. It is insane.
He does. His most recent, his Black Christmas one was freaking outstanding.
It's Me, Billy. So good.
Oh,
so good.
Dude, it was hands down amazing. It might be my favorite fan film on YouTube right now. like it's like so close to what do you call
The
it?
actual thing.
Yeah, it's like it's so close to Never Hike in the Snow, I think. But I actually like Never Hike Alone more than I did Never Hike in the Snow.
Yeah, that one's pretty good. Ethan, the one you're thinking of is called Myers, the Evil of Haddonfield.
Is that the one? Who's that by again? That's
by Blinky 500.
so okay. So yeah, it is by the same person that made. Okay, yeah. I'm so horrible with names, guys. I apologize sometimes. I just see a fan film sometimes and I just watch it without even watching the creator.
No, I mean, fan films, man, they are honestly they're doing good right now, man. I mean, it's a way to keep these franchises alive. It's a way to, keep people engaged in these characters, like with different visions and stories, and it's awesome, to be able to have people be able to create those.
Well, and the best thing is with all these fans making these, a lot of them are just doing it because they love the franchise. They're not trying to profit off of it by any means. They're just doing it because, hey, this sounds like a fun time. Let's go and do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that to me, that's more genuine than trying to, I guess if you profit off of it in the meantime, hey, good for you. But if you're doing it for the love of the films, hats off to you. But there was also another one, and it was a very well put together Michael versus Jason, and it took place in the forest. I want to look that up because I can't remember who that was from again either. Again, kind of bad.
I know exactly which one you're talking about.
It's from Radical Talent.
Yeah, Radical Talent.
Yep. That one was good, especially kind of near. You saw that one, right, Austin?
Yes.
Yeah. The part where he's like Michael and Jason, I had to chuckle at this one. They completely stop what they're doing and they start butchering like these hillbilly people that come to this gas station. And so they temporarily team up to kill all these guys. And then you almost kind of think, are they going to have a truce? Like after it was all said and done. And then they just totally go back to kicking each other's asses. It's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, and I will say that the people that made that Radical Talent is definitely Friday fans, hands down. Myers does get his ass beat quite a bit throughout the movie, but he gets some good licks in there. He gets some pretty good shots. But I will say that I could see them being more Friday fans than Halloween fans.
A little bit, because you can kind of tell that Michael's getting his ass kicked a little more. So that's kind of the insinuation where it's like if they were Michael fans, then Jason would be getting the more of the receiving end of those beatings.
Yeah, even though I will say, like, remember our conversation, like when I first got in here, like, Michael Myers versus Jason. Jason is always going to be like, the high dog, and Myers is always going to be the underdog. That's just how it is. But, I will always be Team Myers. I mean, he's always going to get up no matter what. And he does at the end of that film. He does. Like, that's how the movie ends. Like, he still gets up. Like, you know. So, I don't know.
Well, there was another one they made quite a few. And there's at least a few of them out there of a Michael versus Leatherface. And I'm like, there's just no competition with that. Why would you even... Like with Jason, I can see more of a challenge, but when you put him up against Leatherface, Ghostface, it's like, you definitely know Michael's just going to win. If you get more into the lore and the history of the Halloween franchise, obviously.
Yeah, no, I mean, Myers is like the only one, like if they ever did a movie like that, the only one that would be compatible to face off against Myers to where it wouldn't be that cheesy would be Jason.
Yeah.
Even, I mean, Freddy versus Jason was good because I love Freddy versus Jason. I love it a lot, specifically for the last 15 minutes of it. But I thought that Freddy was actually pretty compatible in the dream world, but then remember, Freddy comes out of the dream world and he gets his ass beat.
Yeah, and he's just a normal guy, no powers at all.
Exactly. So, It's like, I thought that for what they were able to come up with, like, I did like how Jason was in the dream world, and that's how Freddy was able to get the upper hand on him because he had all that power, right? And then he gets out, and then it's like Jason immediately has the upper hand. Now, like with Jason and Michael, it would always be the fact that, I feel like that would be like the most even like matchup, like to, okay, they're both like, supernatural beings. also determines on if Jason's alive or dead if they ever did a film like that, right?
Where he's not a zombie.
Huh?
Where Jason's not a zombie, like he's actually human.
Correct. Yeah, because
Yep.
like remember, zombie Jason wasn't until part 6.
Yep.
So it's like if he was like actually alive and as a person, I wonder if like that, like it would all determine, I feel like, what Jason Myers was going up against. In Michael versus Jason, the Evil Emerges one, he was a zombie. So
yeah. Or was it part 5 where he becomes part 5 it wasn't even Jason, it was the paramedic from earlier.
Yeah,
I'm just
not a fan of part 5.
I don't think a lot of people are. Oh god, that movie was terrible. But that's why I'm more of a fan of Friday the 13th 2 through 4, just because human Jason, I kind of prefer that over zombie Jason. Freddy versus Jason was a good film too. I know we're kind of getting off topic, but the ending to that was just so ambiguous. You kind of think, well, who actually won? Because it's supposed to make you think when Freddy winks at the end, like, oh, Jason's in a dream or something like that. So it's like, oh wow, okay, that was a twist.
Yeah, I always hoped that they were going to make another one. I still hope that they do. I mean, man,
Robert Englund's getting so old, though. I don't know if they, I suppose they could add stunt doubles in there.
Yeah,
but
he wouldn't be able to come back. Not at this time, because like if they did, they'd be shooting at night, and there's just a lot of different stuff and factors that would go into it that just like he wouldn't be able to do.
Mhm.
So like his last outing as Freddy, unfortunately, was with Freddy versus Jason. But I thought that he went out with a bang, man. I thought it was the best possible way he could have went out, like battling Jason. Are you serious? Like that's freaking awesome.
Mhm.
So
I have the unpopular opinion. That's my favorite Nightmare on Elm Street film.
Freddy versus Jason is?
Yeah.
Yeah, it is definitely a heavy nightmare movie, that's for sure. Like with like a splash of Friday the 13th in there.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. People give me the look. They're like, really? That's your favorite? I'm like, if it makes you feel better, Nightmare, the original is the second one. But then I also have the unpopular opinion. My third favorite Nightmare on Elm Street is the remake.
Oh goodness! Oh my goodness! Man, if you guys ever discuss Nightmare, you guys got to get me on the podcast again because I've got some words about the remake.
Well, Braden, we could just kick him out of the podcast right now. We can keep talking about, since he revealed his true colors. I mean, he can go now.
Oh, the Nightmare remake is an actual nightmare. Like, I mean, Lordy. But hey, honestly, that like Austin, I'll give you the benefit of the doubt because hey, that's honestly what makes like these films that have such a big franchise so awesome because people like what they're gonna like, right? There are huge fans of Friday Part 5. There are huge fans of Halloween Resurrection. There are huge fans of Halloween 5. There are fans of literally all of these different films for different reasons. Like a lot of the time, you talk to somebody and they're like, well, Halloween 5 has a special place in their heart because that was the first film that they saw like that got them into horror. Perfectly makes sense. That's why they love Halloween 5.
Yep.
Freddy versus Jason was actually one of the first big time horror films I saw. I saw Friday. I saw like a Jason movie. I saw a Freddy movie, and then Freddy versus Jason came out right around the time when I was getting into horror, and that's why I love it so much because it's like one of those movies that like it was that first horror movie that I completely fell in love with, and I thought it was mostly because Jason and Freddy were just beating the shit out of each other.
Yep.
But like I love it, and people are like, "What do you like?" Like there are some people that don't like Freddy versus Jason, and I'm like, "Well, you know what? That's your opinion, but it's very special to me because that's what was one of the big movies that got me like immersed into horror." So
yeah, but if Rotten Tomatoes doesn't like it, then you gotta hate it too.
Rotten Tomatoes can suck it.
Well, the one thing I loved about Halloween 5, I'll give it credit, is when Loomis at the end just goes all badass. Where he starts like he puts Michael in a chain link fence or a chain link thing
trap or
that
whatever.
comes a trap, and then like starts shooting him with tranquilizers, and then starts beating him. That's when you can tell where Loomis is just like enough is enough. Like he just had his limits. He's like, God, I just want this guy to die already. You know.
The only thing I like in Halloween 5 is the whole sequence in the barn. To me, that is the only tolerable part for me.
Because of the hanky panky scene, do you mean, or
that's exactly why, Ethan, you
the
caught
hanky
me.
panky?
Yep, I agree. I like that scene in Halloween 5. I like the chase with like Myers driving the car and everything like that. That actually was an idea I had. It like this isn't spoiling anything for you guys, but like that scene actually, like towards the end of our film for Haddonfield Nightmare, that was one of my initial ideas. Was like I can't say anything about the ending, but it was like where like, you know, Myers like actually chases John like in a car or something like that, and like John has to like dive out of the way. But like that was just an idea that I was like, I don't really like that. But I do like that scene in Halloween 5 when he is chasing Jamie and what's the little boy's name?
Billy.
Yeah, Billy, like in the car. I like that a lot. And then I do not like what follows with the whole Tina stuff. Yeah.
I can agree with that. What else? Okay, so we're pretty much kind of close to being done, or it's about that time. But I'll ask one question. So, Curse of Michael Myers, theatrical version or the director's cut?
Theatrical.
Theatrical. I know I kind of hinted at theatrical too, but the director's cut had a lot of good aspects too, minus the Curse of Thorn. I did kind of like the ending to the director's cut with Loomis going back into the hospital. I did like that over the theatrical cut ending. But they did get way too occultish in the movie. So that, you know, in a way, for me, that was kind of the big deal breaker of kind of leaning more towards theatrical.
I'm going to say producer's cut.
Or was I producer's cut, not director's cut?
Yeah, I'm going to say producer's cut. Just because I like, I just feel like that it goes more into, you know, the story, and I like how it kind of connected everything. Because I feel like you watch the theatrical, I feel like there are some elements that are missing. I feel like that the producer's cut actually added some more layers to the story.
There are, yep.
So I'm going to say producer's cut.
Yeah, I will admit, yeah, the theatrical cut is like less gory. They took out a lot of detail out of that one. Mm-hmm. The only thing with the theatrical cut, that's where they put Jamie's really gory weed thresher or scene. In the producer's cut, Michael just stabs her and she dies.
Yeah.
So I guess that was the only thing I kind of did prefer over one of the things I preferred the theatrical over the producers, but I did like the producers mainly because it gave Dr. Loomis more of a bigger role too. And that was Donald Pleasance's last film too. Mm-hmm. So it was kind of a good way to like go out with a bang a little bit, even though the ending to the producer's cut was a complete cliffhanger. So you don't know where it goes when he,
I thought Jamie gets shot in the producer's cut.
No, she gets stabbed. She gets stabbed, and then the theatrical cut, she gets put in that weed thresher.
Yeah.
Huh. I don't know what I'm thinking of. I thought she got. I'm pretty sure she gets.
I think in the theatrical she gets stabbed. I think in the producer's cut she gets shoved into the weed whacker thing.
Are you guys sure? I
think so.
I think you guys are wrong. Let me.
I might be.
I'm pretty sure the theatrical cut is when she's on that farm equipment, and then the producer's cut's when she gets stabbed or shot or whatever happens to her.
I don't know. I'm not going to go into it now. But okay, that's going to bug me. I gotta watch. I gotta watch.
I have no idea.
Damn you, producer's cut. Well, theatrical cut for dimming stuff down. But yeah, I think that's the only thing. That's the only other question I really had. Austin, you got any more, or is that?
The only other thing I guess I would ask is thoughts / predictions for Halloween Kills and Halloween Ends. It's pretty much, that'd be the only other question I got, because I mean, we talked a little bit about it, but obviously, it is coming up here in just a couple more months, and the anticipation finally, yes.
Yeah.
First thought, Hawkins is alive. I think Hawkins is going to survive. I feel like that. I've seen like there have been people that have survived much worse than getting stabbed right here. He's bleeding out. Sure, I think that some police officers are going to find him, and he's going to be alive. And then, like, I feel like that one of the biggest characters that's going to die at the end is Karen.
I hope so.
I think.
Oh, God,
I think that she's going to bite the bullet. I hope to see some character development with her in this movie, because I mean, I feel like that she obviously has a lot to take in. Her and Allison both have a lot to take in and have a lot to react to emotionally in this movie, or should, I should say.
Tommy's supposed to be in this one too, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. I'm hoping we get some like solid Tommy Doyle moments. He's my most anticipated returning character from 9. I just hope that they don't botch his character. Like I love Anthony Michael Hall. I'm really looking forward to Tommy Doyle returning. He's my most anticipated 1978 character returning. So I'm hoping that, we get some good Doyle moments. And then, yeah, like those are just some of like my big predictions, is that Hawkins is alive. And that, I think Karen is going to be the 2018 big character that ends up, getting killed at the end, in the finale. So,
yeah, I that's a pretty good predicament or prediction, not predicament. I think Dr. Sartain is still alive. I think he'll come back. Just kidding.
I was gonna. That actually took me a second to register. I'm like,
wait, what?
I'm like, are we sure you saw all of Halloween 2018?
Or like Dr. Loomis is going to be in this one. It's like, hey, we thought you were dead. Nope.
Right.
Honestly, I feel like in this one, I feel like Allison is going to play a bigger role, and I kind of feel like she's going to sort of have maybe some badass moment where she kind of gets the upper hand on Michael. I could kind of see that, because that's kind of part of character development, just a little bit. There's going to be more Laurie Michael scenes, obviously, but I feel like there's going to be maybe at least one badass Allison scene in this one.
Yeah, I wasn't a big fan in the trailer, like when she screamed "Do it" to Myers.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. I mean, cool for the character. I feel like that's way too brave of that character, because let's all face it, we see what Myers does in the trailer to a group of people. He wouldn't hesitate. He wouldn't hesitate.
Well, that's why
there'd be no time for her to even scream it. It's like, I mean, but that's just me examining it way too hard. But then again, in the trailer, you do see that he jolts forward. So somebody or something stabs him from behind in order to say, I'm guessing that's Karen. That's one of my big predictions, is I'm guessing Karen is gonna save her right there. And I also think that's how she gets Myers' mask. I think she's gonna stab him and then maybe even pull off the mask, which leads out to the front lawn. In the trailer, remember how she held up the mask? She said, you want your mask, come and get it.
Oh, yeah.
I think that is probably how that scene is going to escalate to where it goes.
I almost feel like we're going to get a full unmasking scene maybe with that. Maybe.
It's funny. I actually just saw, I don't know if you guys watch Wolfman's Got Nards at all on YouTube, but I saw a video that he did a week ago. I don't know how I missed that one. but it apparently it's the title of the video is Michael Myers to be unmasked in Halloween Kills. So we might even get a full frontal shot of his face. Not sure I like that too much. Would probably be a callback to 1978, if anything. But like maybe when Karen pulls off his mask,
if it's a brief moment like the first one, yeah,
if the lighting is right and maybe they try and like mimic like how it was in 1978, I can totally see that could be kind of cool. But I think overall I'd prefer if we didn't. I mean, we all know what James Jude Courtney looks like. We basically saw his face in 2018 during the day. Like you can make out what he looks like, you know. So I mean, I don't know if they decide to do that'd be a creative choice. I'd have to kind of see how the scene and the story plays out, but you know,
or they could use Nick Castle too. I don't know.
They could.
Well, there is a part in the trailer where Myers is walking in the dark. You can tell he's not wearing his mask at all. So I think I can see him not having the mask for quite a portion of the film.
Well, you know, a lot of people that don't really look at the lore or analyze those films like we do, you know, at the end, they're going to be like, that was shit. He went without his face. You could see his face and yada, yada, yada. But I'm like, well, dude, I mean, you know, he's just a normal looking dude. You know, I mean, he doesn't really there's nothing special about his face, you know?
Yeah. I think a majority of the finale is probably going to take place in the Myers house.
Yeah,
that's my thoughts. I think that they're going to save that specifically for the end. You know, I think that that'll be a really cool reveal in the movie. And I'm looking forward to that, man. I'm really looking forward to returning to the Myers house, seeing if somebody actually lives in the house. And if somebody does live in the house, they're going to die. So
speaking of Myers house, one last thing. Did you guys notice how different it was in the fifth film compared to all the other ones? Where it's just this one-story house, this one-story square house, and it looks like a palace in the fifth movie. Was I the only one that noticed that?
Nope. That's hard to miss.
Very hard to miss. That house is for sale actually right now.
The one in the fifth?
Yeah, they put that on. They put it on Facebook. Man, it's been a while, but yeah, that's up for sale right now.
I know that bothered me. Like speaking of like little details, that the house, that bothered me. How like it looks like a castle in the fifth one, and then it goes back to normal after the fifth one.
It's like the mask. How can you mess up the mask? And it's just like the Myers house. How can you keep messing up a house? Like
exactly.
Yeah. Again, the continuity, like, you know, the continuity of the franchise it's all over the place. So, you know.
Yeah. I mean, you might as well make it like Jeff Bezos' house, you know, just
right.
Michael just has this big mansion of a house. Like this is where all the evil happened. And the money.
Right.
In the Playboys.
Well, all right, guys. I think that is pretty much going to do it here for this podcast. I want to thank Braden for coming on and chatting up with some Halloween.
Heck yeah. Thank you guys so much for having me on here, man. I had a lot of fun, and I hope to be back on the show soon. And, you know, good luck to you guys and your guys' podcast, and, you know, stay awesome.
Thank you.
Thanks, man. Much appreciated. And tell everybody where we can find you and what you got coming up.
So you guys can find me on social media. You guys can find me on YouTube. My channel name is Braden Timmons. Upcoming BAT Lives are going to be starting again this week. We've got some great announcements regarding Haddonfield Nightmare this week, so stay tuned on social media and everything like that. Upcoming on the channel, we've got the Child's Play review series as we lead up to the Chucky TV series. Yeah, just follow me on social media. You guys can find all my links in the description on my YouTube channel.
Give him a thumbs up, everybody. Now.
We are definitely excited for Haddonfield Nightmare. Now that I know it's going to be a full-fledged movie, man, I'm excited. I can't wait.
I am too. That's going to be awesome.
Yeah, put it on your guys' radars to check some social media this week, like regarding HN, because we've got some exciting stuff coming up. So,
all right, awesome. Well, I guess with that being said, you guys, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and we'll see you in the next one.
Later, guys.